Hey everybody, welcome. It is the 7 o'clock hour on Mondays, and as you know, this time is reserved for the Shopo Hour. And today, we are delighted that we're all together again, all the gentlemen in studio with Bobby, Steve, and Mark. And again, the Shopo Hour designed to inform, educate, give the other side of reported stories, and Q&A with the gentlemen in studio. I'm going to start with Bobby and wish you a very good morning, sir. Aloha to you.
Good morning there, Rick, Steve, Mark. Rick, today is our most favorite day of the week.
That counters my seventh favorite day. So it's really our 3.5 favorite day of the week. We'll get the happy medium in there.
Okay.
Welcome back. Glad you're with us. Brother Steve, aloha to you.
Good morning. Good morning, Rick. Good morning, boys.
Morning,
Always
morning.
happy and grateful to be here with you. Remember back in the day, it was the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. It's actually staring across right at you, Rick.
Oh,
Seeing
my
your big smiling face, your pearly whites.
Oh,
Yep.
my gosh. I don't know how much cash I have, but it's yours.
You can just put the 150 in the envelope and slide it over.
Yeah. Wait, this isn't the tea time over at the Aloi Golf Course.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute. No.
Or DPP.
The scramble.
That's right. And Brother Mark, aloha.
Morning, Rick.
Good morning.
Steve, Bobby. Another morning, another conversation.
Amen.
Page out of Bobby's book there.
There it is. Well, we're going to go back to
Good
Bobby's
to be here.
book.
Good to be here.
Bobby Cavaco, President, Shopo. Where would you like to start us off today?
Why don't we start a little discussion on, there was an incident again at TSA in Kauai, and a civilian was arrested for trying to pass a handgun through the checkpoint, and it was in his backpack.
Oh, boy.
So TSA had notified airport security, who then went through the backpack, found the firearm, and then they placed the individual under arrest. The highlight of the story is that it's the same exact story as the deputy chief of Kauai. Same exact situation. The civilian apparently had stated he we'd like to mention that he's apparently he's a legal the firearm was registered to him, so he's a legal gun owner, and that he normally keeps his firearm in his backpack, and when he packed his clothes he forgot it was in there, and when he went traveling it went through TSA. So I guess the question everybody is asking, and we believe or we understand that the media on Kauai is trying to ask the department, why is it that this individual was arrested and given a bail of $10,000, but nothing happened to the deputy chief, where it's almost the same exact situation.
Yeah. How do you forget that you had a gun in your backpack? That is the most specious, ridiculous thing that I've heard from anyone. Steve?
Yeah, I don't know about you boys and the listeners, but for the size of Kauai, they certainly seem to have the busiest TSA checkpoints in the whole state.
Yeah. Right.
Two firearms, going through the checkpoint. This gentleman, obviously he made a mistake. He was a legal registered gun owner, and the optics on this, I think, for Kauai PD are not good. Clearly, TSA and the individuals there took it in a different direction. I don't think this civilian gentleman got the benefit of a courtesy call. He couldn't phone a friend, right? Did he get to phone a friend? Did he get that free pass? Did he get any type of preferential treatment? He didn't. So the question becomes, what's the Kauai PD brass going to say about this? The optics are just not so good. Again, we're not trying to single anybody out, but doesn't matter what your job is. Everybody should be treated the same way, right? Whether you're police or the civilian, if you violate some type of federal law, there needs to be accountability no matter what you do as your profession. That's my take on it. Yeah.
Amen. Brother Mark.
Yeah, so it's inexcusable, right? To forget where your firearm is, right? owning a firearm is a huge responsibility, whether you're a legal gun owner or, civilian or law enforcement, right? It's a huge responsibility, and you got to take on that extra responsibility and be accountable for your actions, right? I mean, I know when I was working, I was always cognizant of where my firearm was and what, I was kind of happy I went on vacation because I put it in my locker at work and I didn't have to worry about it, when I left the state. But it should always be on your mind. Where is it? Is it safe away from children or other people that can get to it, or somebody breaks into your house? Is it ready? Could someone get to it? You got to think of all these things. And like Steve said, civilians and on the law enforcement side, I think everybody wants to have a fair shake. So what's good for me should be good for everybody else. So in this case in Kauai, right, deputy chief gets a little favor, and now you have a civilian $10,000 bail.
So what will emerge? Will KPDs, will they respond? Have they commented? Is there a pursuit of response from anyone? The local press, you mentioned they're seeking, but has anything been said at all?
Not at this point.
Yeah.
All we know is that the Garden Isle paper
Okay.
was inquiring with the mayor's office and the department, but we don't believe any comment was given.
There's an election taking place, and I'm not speculating anything other than there's an election taking place. I would be hopeful that Mayor Kawakami would have something to say. I mean, wouldn't that be appropriate, completely appropriate for the department that's under his watch?
Absolutely, yeah. We believe that absolutely it should be. He should have come out and say something in the public so that they know what's going on.
So I'm going to segue a little bit. I know we have to take a break, but I'm going to hold for a moment. Last week, very important SCOTUS ruling, Second Amendment, and it was anticipated that that would be the decision, and it's codified as being that. Now they've determined that constitutionally that you may carry your firearm outside of your home. What's your initial reply to this ruling? What are the implications for us here at home? Bobby, Steve, Mark?
Well, I mean, you get people going berserk over it. Like, someone in my family had a little argument with them the other day saying, there's going to be guns all over the place. It's not safe. Who's using the guns in a bad manner? Not the legal, law-abiding people that have firearms, right? It's the criminals who can't have them to begin with, right? So I don't think it's a bad thing. I think the legal gun owners are responsible, right? It's going to happen here or there, like this TSA thing, right? But again, they need to be responsible when know where this thing is. But as far as the crime, you don't see legal gun owners using their firearms in a haphazardly manner. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
So what does this mean? Is it too early? Do we know? What does it mean from a legal standpoint? Well, first of all, as HPD, as officers, any concerns, Bobby and Steve? And then fundamentally, how does this change the law as it exists today?
Well, from an officer's perspective, your awareness is going to have to go up. Not that the officer's awareness currently is being lackadaisical, but now with the passage of this, you definitely have to be more aware of, basically assume that person possibly might be carrying, a firearm in your interaction with that person in whatever situation it is. And already we, for many years, states that already had concealed carry officers over there were already, dealing with this, with that particular law, for how long. So our officers here, a little bit of an adjustment.
Okay. And Brother Steve, do we know either statistically or anecdotally for officers in carry conceal states, communities, if there's been a marked increase, encounters, has it been a detrimental development in those communities, especially for our officers?
I don't know specifics, but I can just speak from what I've read over the last several years. In a lot of states in the Southwest, they allow trained individuals to carry firearms, and we don't see on a national level of officers getting shot in states like Arizona and Nevada and other places that civilians that are not in law enforcement get to carry.
Mm-hmm.
I've always had the position that bad guys have guns. If you're a law-abiding citizen and you've gone through a safety course and you've gone through training, it's your right. The Supreme Court has spoken. So I think depending on what Hawaii legislators do, and and I don't say this disrespectfully, but if they pull any tricks up their sleeve where they try to make it more complicated, I don't know how all this is going to play out here at the local level. But for officers, in our state, in the different counties, obviously, like Bobby was saying, officer awareness is going up. Maybe when you have conversations, you have a stop with the traffic, say, hey, do you have a firearm on you? It's just going to mean a little bit different style of operation for our officers on patrol, how they interact with others. Obviously, officer safety is always paramount. There just might need to be some additional questions asked. Yeah.
And there we go. I'm glad we're together with the fellows of the Shopo Hour is underway. And the telephone number, 521-8383. More topicality coming your way, including this is the final day for the governor to decide to veto legislation. And we'll get into that in a few moments here on the Shopo Hour. It's 7:20.
It's the Shopo Hour on News Radio 830 KHVH.
And we're back. We'd love to hear from you at 521-8383. It is the last day for Governor David Ige to have vetoes issued on bills that had passed. And of course, boys, 1567, top of the list, I know for me and in our conversations. What message would you like to share at 7:24 in the morning that the governor may hear, be privy to, and do you have any advice for what the public should do in these waning moments? And Bobby, can I start with you? Your thoughts?
Well, I think on this particular subject, there's been a huge outcry from the public, from us, from the four mayors, HPD, along with prosecutor. So I think the voices have been heard. I think the governor has heard everybody, and including the two legislators themselves that authored the bill, urging him to veto it, which is unheard of. So at this point, we hope that the governor will go ahead and veto this, and hopefully put maybe the legislators back to work, and having more input from the four county police departments and their chiefs, and as well as the prosecutor's office, and everybody involved, and then come up with maybe a better solution to what they're trying to achieve.
So if he does veto, of course, that's the end of this particular bill. But there'll be another one. There'll be another one doing exactly, maybe not the same language, verbiage, but intent. And what would you, and again, that's assuming it's vetoed today, but if it is, what do you suppose those changes would be? How subtle would they be? Maybe in words, but implication and impact, they could mean a great deal.
Yeah, we talked about this last week, Rick. The legislators, certain county mayors, they just want to go back to the drawing board and rewrite this thing. And I think that's what the public needs to be very aware of and cognizant of. This bill would not make the counties in Hawaii safer. And when Bobby and I were at the conference with the mayors and other leaders, certain leaders kept stressing, we just need to rewrite this with more of a collaboration. We need to change this. Let's remember what this bill fundamentally did is take the powers away from the judges. We do not want legislators dictating what the judiciary should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So however they rewrite this, however they want to tweak it or twist it, let's let the judicial branch do their job. The judges here are very cognizant. We've said it before on your show. They're not leaving people incarcerated for long periods of time. People are not rotting away in OCCC. We should not have our legislators getting involved in something that the courts have been appointed to do. And tip would be stay vigilant. And I think the one positive thing to come out of this, I think, and this goes for us here in the studio, we're going to be following bills much more closely as Shopo, and making sure administrators are at the different counties, so we don't get caught by surprise that how far these things go. And I think the community has embraced that this is a way to keep tabs on the elected officials.
Brother Mark?
Oh, my thing is, Ige, what's taking you so long? Why do you got to wait to the last minute? It's clear that nobody wants this bill. It's clear, right? Even the author asking him to veto it. What are you waiting for? Why do you go wait till the last minute? Veto the damn thing, okay? And to Steve's point, they've been doing. I've been tracking all this bail reform stuff for the last 4 to 5 years. For the last 4 to 5 years that I've been tracking, they've been trying to hit up all types of bail reform. And again, they just want to tweak this thing. They're not going to stop. So, and like I said, I don't give them a pass for trying to come and say, oh, veto that thing. Let's vote. Let's vote these thing out. People see who supported this thing, and remember when you go to the ballot box, right? And another thing, one of their defenses was, the police departments never came out against it, or we didn't have too many people come out and speak against it. Well, why aren't you going to the police departments and asking them? Why do you have to wait for the law enforcement agencies to come to you, right? Why don't you have that rapport? I mean, are you up in your little high horse over there? Hey, come down and collaborate and get something that's going to work. So,
We don't want Hawaii to turn into a California, an Illinois. Just look at how this is playing out nationally. We have something to look at. Is that what we want? Do we want San Francisco? Do we want Chicago? Is that what we want here? Because bail reform would take us there. And I like what Mark said. Governor Ige, sign it. I agree with you, Mark. Enough already. What's all the dramatics for? How many more people need to speak out against this? And I say that respectfully, but I agree with Mark. Enough already. Let's get this thing done, and everybody moves forward.
I think the thing I'm fearful of and concerned about is that the proponents of the bill are very animated, loud, and desirous of this thing. I'm concerned that the governor would say that there's been input on all sides, and I'll refuse to veto and allow the bill to continue without my signature. And Bobby, just before we take our break, I'd like to get your final thoughts on this issue and on this topic and the different scenarios, what we should be doing. Should we get on the phone today? Should we get on our email? Should we call our representative, and just to ensure that there's no last-minute calculations?
I would say, yeah, go ahead and reach it. It's not going to hurt for the public to reach out to their legislator and express their opposition to this bill. Whether or not they reach out to the governor's office and get a response, that's another story, because we always reach out to the governor and for our input on matters, and we always get a automated email reply that he has received your inquiry and will get back to you. Mm-hmm. And then you don't hear anything. Mm-hmm. And that's just, I guess, the way that this particular governor does it.
There we go. We're already at 7:30, boys. I've only taken 2 sips of my water, and we're already halfway through. Unbelievable.
You sure there's only water in there?
Thank you, Bobby.
It's like vodka to me.
Here we go. Here we go. Together with the boys, it is the Shopo Hour, one of the important hours that we provide to you on this program. And now I'd love to hear from you at 521-8383. And you can be a part of the program. We're going to cover some of the news of the day and other topicality when we return. Hey everybody, welcome back. It is Monday, and this time reserved for the Shopo Hour. Once again, with Bobby, Steve, and Mark in studio with us. Telephone number 521-8383 if you'd like to join us. Well, last week we covered ground on the continuing legal action concerning Shopo and Bobby and Steve and other members, and you've been very forthright in filling us in on some of the details. Today, I was hoping, how about just an update as to where we are and where we're going, if we can, Bobby?
Well, really, at this point, we haven't received any update. We understand that investigation is still ongoing, and we proclaim our innocence in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said last week, that the facts and circumstances was presented in front of the board, and the board discussed it and took the action that they seemed fit for what occurred,
Mm-hmm.
and moved forward.
Yeah. Procedurally, what happens next? So we're mired in what? What part of the process do we find ourselves in?
I feel right now that HPD is doing their internal investigation. Bobby and I were labeled as suspects, and they're going to that department is going to do what they do. I just know that it's been 1 week in the books of Bobby and I being on restricted duty. So we go into the station and we show up with good attitude as best we can, and just keep pushing through our days. But yeah, week one, Rick, is in the books.
Okay.
Nothing to share with you or the listeners as far as any changes or anything like that. I think the wheels turn kind of slow. So Bobby and I do have that expectation that it's going to take some time, at least on for the criminal side. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Brother Mark, any thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, like Steve said, it's been a week. So you have a lieutenant here and you have a sergeant who's restricted of police authority and not on the road. You're over 300 positions short already, right? So, to me, it behooves the investigators to get this thing rolling along, right? It is a misdemeanor extortion case. It's not a felony. So usually misdemeanor cases go a lot faster as far as the investigation. So to me, and that's one of the biggest complaints from the rank and file when they are roped. Why you rope it so long? Let's get this thing going. Take it over to the prosecutors, the AG, wherever you have to take it. Let them look at it, and let's get these guys back on the road. Simple.
Got it. Thank you very much, fellas. Thank you for the update. It is 7:41 in the morning. Let's take some calls, and delightedly so, at 7:41 in the morning. We're going to head out first to Mililani, and that's where Jamie joins us. Jamie, good morning. You're on the Shopo Hour, and
Hello.
Aloha. Hi, Jamie. Welcome to the Shopo Hour, and you're on with the fellas. Good morning.
Good morning. Aloha, Rick, and our Shopo heroes, I will call them. This is Jamie from Mililani.
Mm-hmm.
I say to all the people of Hawaii, vote these legislators out of office who voted to support this bill, and vote for people who will stand up for the law and for our community, and especially for the victims of these crimes. Thank you for all you do. Mahalo.
Aloha, Jamie. Thank you so much for taking the time to be a part of the program. And that message resonates with so many in our community. I recall when we've had passionate discussions about particular bills, etc. Still remaining, number one, over a decade ago plus, the tally van, the cameras in the back of vans parked on the side of the road to bust you for speeding. The implementation of that by the legislature and others in political positions, the general public, an unprecedented outcry. This bill, bail reform, pretty doggone close. Pretty close.
It kind of woke a sleeping giant. You know what I mean, Rick? And when you, I don't, you know, when you get Jamie, thanks again for calling in, and we appreciate you for the kind words. It really gets you fired up when you hear a call like that, because you know now people aren't going to turn back. People may have been in the dark a little bit, but after this, and people like Jamie out there in the community, there's no going back. People are not going to have their heads underneath the sheets too much. They're going to come out, and it's really motivating when you hear people, you know, in our community speak like that.
I'd like to kind of dovetail on that. Please, when the governor, if the governor does in fact veto, I want every member of this community who spoke out, who called the show, who signed petitions, who expressed their thoughts to their own representatives, to their friends and families. Folks, that's a win. Please understand we have difficult, challenging political environment but when your voices are united, when they're vocal, it makes a difference. Please put this in the win column and use it as a catalyst to continue on other issues that are of great import. So I'm eager to find out when the governor's going to sign this thing, his veto.
And Jamie, thank you very much for calling. And we need more people to be outspoken like yourself, right? So, like you said, Rick, everybody that came out against this. So, if and when the governor does veto this thing, let's not let our foot off the gas. Everybody that was against this, you tell 10 people, and then tell them to tell 10 people, and let's change this thing. Let's change the way the legislator thinks. And let's remember the bottom line in this thing. Who's the victim? You know, it's the victims. At the end of the day, it's the victims that the legislators and the politicians are just kicking to the curb. Let's remember that.
We're in an interesting time. We've had major decisions that we referred to by SCOTUS and others here locally that generate a lot of response. Can you help us understand the protocol regarding crowd controls? We see people on the sides of the road, people that will be at the big square building or other locations, or maybe even on private property in either congregating, protesting, etc. How do you go through the assessment of crowd control, and how do you effectuate it to where it's good for all?
Well, when you're talking about crowd control in relation to protests, you know, as police officers or law enforcement, no matter what the topic that's being protested about, your primary concern is the safety of everybody, including the protesters themselves. So as long as the protest is not, you know, involved any violence or like a riot, you know, law enforcement is trained and has policies and procedures in regards to crowd control and how that is managed, with different tactics and different decisions made to correlate on how, in what direction the protests do go, because it can go in different directions. But as long as the people who are voicing their opinions are doing it in the right way, that's what law enforcement's responsibility is, to make sure that they're able to voice their opinion and everybody is in a safe environment.
Roger that. I know that there was a groundswell that came up after the Roe v. Wade decision. And there are still plans for additional very public demonstrations.
Rick, what makes our country great is people have the ability to do that. Some housekeeping issues, though, that as law enforcement, you know, Bobby was spot on with safety issues and those kind of concerns. We're making sure that egress on the sidewalk is not blocked. We're making sure that those wanting to be heard or not in the street, obstructing traffic, making sure that there's not too loud of amplified sound. So we're looking at noise. We're looking at making sure the sidewalks can still be used by people maybe with disabilities, and people can still, ingress and egress out of driveways. So we're looking at traffic. We're looking vehicles, pedestrians, the noise level, and HPD and the departments nationwide. To Bobby's point, officers are trained. We have officers with additional training, usually kind of waiting in the background in case anything jumps off. So the community can know that you might not agree with what the protesters are doing, but the county police department statewide, they have the training, they have the skill set to handle if anything goes sideways. And we're on it. So everything that you're talking about, Rick, the protests about Roe, the gun, here locally, Honolulu PD was on it. There's officers that have additional training in crowd control techniques. So at no time did any of these protests cause a danger, right, to the public that wasn't participating. And like Bobby said, we're gonna monitor it, make sure that everybody is safe. The protesters, the counter protesters, the people just trying to get to the grocery store and do their regular stuff. So
Tell you what, let me take this very short. We have callers on the line. I want to make sure that we have time for all. Let me take care of this first, and then we'll go back to our calls on the Shopo Hour at 521-8383. Good morning, Hawaii. Glad you're with us. Hey, welcome back, everybody. And again, taking your calls, 7:51 in the morning. Let's go to Junior Papakolea, Aloha Junior, and you're on with the gentleman from Shopo in our studios today with Brother Bobby, Brother Steve, and retired Major Mark Criccio. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Thank you, Rick, for being that voice to let the people of our state know what's happening. And a lot of people here just shake their head and say, we can't do anything because it's the political Democrat machine that's been here for so long. Gentlemen, I just came from Seattle, Pacific Northwest, and the defunding of the police force there is very shocking and appalling. But coming here to Hawaii, I come back and it's so much better than Pacific Northwest. Why are our police guys leaving? Is it just for better pay? Because, we have a pretty good police force here. I'm just shocked because a lot of those crimes coming out in Kapolei and breaking the windows and small businesses, this is the kind of stuff we see in the mainland. Why is this happening here? And even with this
okay, we need a question
against you guys.
Okay.
Why isn't we can't hear from Officer Helms and get his point of view too? That's all I'm saying.
Now, what is your point on the last statement you made?
My point is, if we have a solid police force down here, like these gentlemen are saying, why are we need to recruit more people, more police officers?
No. You mentioned Hallam's name. What is that?
Oh, I'm just saying that these three guys are from big points in the police system as far as being in the in the union. Why can't we hear from the other side, Rick, from Officer Hallam's or that other person that's accusing these three gentlemen or two gentlemen?
Well, you're hearing the other side every single report that is filed. You're hearing firsthand exactly what the attorney and what Mr. Hallam's of what their grievance is. And it's very thorough in the stories that are covered. We're here as part of the Shopo Hour at large. That's a component of what's taking place. But if you've heard, we cover topicality that affects so many. And I believe that that's the most important part of this program. But I thank you for your call, Junior. Why are we in fact losing officers here in Honolulu due to, he alluded to pay grade and other things? Mark, what do you make of this?
I know many officers that left. Okay, and then one of them was a classmate of mine. Okay, they'd go to Seattle. One of my classmates went to Mercer Island.
Mm-hmm.
He went for the better pay. Benefits weren't as good. However, he was telling me he had two kids and it was a better quality of life. He could afford a house. He could get in his car and drive. There's way more things to do with his kids. So there you have it. The quality of life and, yeah, the money. The money was good.
Yeah.
And then, recently I had someone working for me. She left to go to the feds. So she was an awesome officer. Awesome. And I asked her reason for leaving. She was about to make sergeant. And she said, I went for the benefits. Feds had better benefits than HPD. So, and the same pay.
Right.
So,
And
so pay and quality of life. That's some of the reasons they're leaving.
let's final call of the morning goes to Rita in Mililani. And Rita, thank you for your patience and good morning.
Good morning to all of you, and thank you for everything you folks do. I heard Jamie's call earlier, and I thought I also need to interject. I know her. I support her. I have been in touch with the current legislator in this district that we're new in. His excuse is that Matayoshi did such a good sales job, and he didn't hear, and I told him, no, it is your job to read the bill, analyze it, research it, look at other cities, what's happening there when these types of laws are put in place. Did you contact the any of the victims that this would affect? Did you contact your constituents? That is your job. That's what we sent you there for. And I say November, I say fire him and everybody else that signed on to that bill. Period. Nada. El Zippo. Done. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much. Bobby, your thoughts on our caller?
Well, thanks for the call, Rita. We appreciate you calling in. The only problem with getting rid of all of those that voted for the bill, we would have no legislators left. I think we'd be down to about 10.
I think that number's about right.
Mark for governor.
Yeah.
Hey, Rick, you could.
Now, see, did you notice the pause there?
Yeah,
He's
he
going,
was
I kind of like that.
No, they won't.
But Rita's call again, and very impassioned and demanding exactly what is expected of representation.
But she's right. Thanks, Rita, for calling. But you're right. They just vote along party lines. They're not reading the bill. They're saying, "Oh, my fellow legislator put this together. Okay, I'm going to vote for it." They're not reading into it. They don't care about the victims. Let's face it. Something like this, they do not care about the victims. All they care about is the people that are committing these crimes.
So that's a blanket statement. That's pretty profound. So
We see it every day. You ask officers every single day.
yeah,
They don't care about victims. I'm coming right out. These politicians do not care about the victims. Otherwise, they would do something about it. Simple.
it is 7:58. Final thoughts around the table before we take off. And this has been, again, another very fast hour broadcast. Who'd like to start off? Final thoughts.
The community's awake. You hear the callers relating to this legislation. The community's awake. They're not going back to bed. I think politicians need to take note statewide that those that live in these communities, they're not going back to bed and hiding under the covers. They're up. They're ready to go. They've had their coffee, and it's game on.
All right. Brother Mark, final thought?
Yeah. I just want to say congratulations to we recently had some promotions at HPD, and some people made lieutenant, sergeant, corporal. So congratulations to all got promoted, and good luck in your careers, and make good decisions.
And go to votemark.com.
Negative.
There we go. Brother Bobby, final thoughts today.
Yeah, we just like to remind everybody in the community that next weekend is July 4th weekend, and to please celebrate safely and responsibly.
Amen to all of that. Steve, could you remind us, how do we connect with Shopo, either online, social media?
Sure, absolutely. So we're coming along with our website, gang. ShopoHawaii.org would be the place to go. From there, you can transition to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Fellas, thank you for taking the time and being with us every week and beyond. Appreciate it. Can't wait till next time, which will not be next Monday, but it will be soon, without a doubt. Thank you, fellas. And again, thank you for joining us. News Radio 830 KHVH.